Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at Emerson College and I'm delighted to join with Nicole with her movie Mejia. Let's take a look at a clip. Nicole, thank you so much for bringing your film to New Filmmakers. I've got so many questions, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Okay, so Mejia is about the 5 Latin women in my family. When I was a little girl, we moved from Honduras to Alaska, so it's about the women own a restaurant in Alaska, and it's a psychological horror. And basically, the mancha is it's a birthmark that grows on the women's bodies, and to represent generational trauma and how it gets passed down. So our protagonist has to stop it before it reaches her young daughter.
It's such a clever concept, you know, and obviously that word as well. I mean, it's something that, you know, it's the thing that happens for people as well. But I love how you use the trauma as a way of like passed it down and not to continue. It was just so wonderful and clever. It was a lovely family film. But I was just in love with the kind of the world that you set us in, and this lovely restaurant and these amazing women, and it was so great to watch. And I love the setting that it was set in as well. But for you personally, where did the kind of inspiration come for you to decide to turn this into an actual film?
So I think there's like an inherent thing in Latin families that we don't really talk about anything. We don't talk. It's always like work hard, pretend like nothing happened, and just keep going, you know? And so I've had this thing, you know, I have like, am I American, am I Latin? Because I grew up in both cultures, kind of have an equal amount of time in both cultures. And so I'm trying to find my identity, and I'm trying to talk about the things that, like, why did these things happen to me? I do have sexual abuse in my history, and I'm like, is it a spirit of abuse that's like passed down? And then there was this myth that my great-grandma used to tell me when I went to her village in Honduras, and she would always lock my sister and I up in her house. She would close all the shutters, and she'd be like, okay, so this guy on a horse, he's headless, he's gonna run down, and you're gonna hear the horse, and it's gonna be right outside, and if you're outside the door, he's gonna take you, you know? And then, as a kid, I believed that. But now as an adult, really what happened is my grandmother, so my mom is born from rape. My grandmother was one of the people that was taken from the village up to the mountains from the military at the time. It was the coup d'etat in Honduras, and it was like, oh, that was her way of creating this mythology behind what actually happened, you know? And no one in my family ever talked about it, so I was like, okay, how can I tell this story in a way that I'm not traumatizing an audience, that it will appeal to a wider audience? And then I realized that all of the women in my family have a birthmark, like a dark birthmark. I have it on my stomach and on my shoulder. And I was like, yeah, mancha, why not? Like, let's go with that. So that's where it came from, yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, well, firstly, thank you for making something so personal to you and making it universal for people to experience, learn, educate, but also, you know, and capture the world that you did as a filmmaker, because it was a really wonderful film to watch, even though the circumstances were, you know, were traumatic. I love this restaurant that you brought us in as well. Where is that, by the way?
Oh, so that's in Ojai. It's the Ojai Deer Lodge. So I wanted to make it feel like we're in an Alaska setting. And it was really hard to find because we wanted to find like that cabin vibe.
Yeah.
But everything in LA is like not wood.
Yeah.
Interior at least, and we couldn't make a whole set. So yeah, the Ojai Deer Lodge, they were amazing in the process, and they actually shoot John Bernthal's podcast series.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so cool. No, it just was it did seem like a really great sort of homely set, and it felt like Alaska. So well done, you fooled us. Now this is again like I think this was directed so well. I really enjoyed the way that you kind of shot it, the journey, the way the marks kind of like incorporated throughout the whole film in different places on different objects. objects that was so mesmerizing and magical to watch. Did you kind of know when you're like writing it, like how you kind of wanted it to portray on screen, or was that something that developed on the journey?
No, that was definitely developed. We did want to use the theme of the octopus and octopusing, because someone asked me once how I felt, or actually my co-writer, Don DePetta, asked me, what does your trauma feel like on the daily, you know? And I was like, it feels like I'm just wading through water every day, and it's hard, and I was like, maybe like an octopus, you know? I don't know. And then we started doing research on octopus, and I watched My Octopus Teacher, which is amazing.
So good.
Yes, it's so great. And then I learned that they pass down, you know, not just their trauma, but like every generation of the octopus, they are smarter, each octopus that is born, because they carry like everything that they've learned.
It's amazing.
And I was like, oh, it's like trauma. It's in our DNAs. It's passed down from generation to generation. So we wanted it to be kind of inky, but also a little like thicker, you know.
Yeah.
So we really used the octopus as inspiration for what the mancha looked like and how it would spread. We just had no idea how to execute it.
I thought you had a fantastic cast that all just really entwined and worked well. You just felt history between them all. For you as a director, like directing something that's kind of also, you know, traumatic, and it's something that's in the feeling, in the physical sense. How was that experience? What are you like as a director? How do you work with your actors?
So all the characters are based on my real characters,
right.
And I didn't change their names, so they're all my real family's names. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna kill me when they find out, but whatever. And I love that each actor took all the photos that I showed them. I don't really have a ton of videos, but I showed them when I could. Gloria looked at the photo of my great-grandmother, whom I was raised by, and she just, wow, the work that she did on her own. She was like, I think she moves her hands like this, and I think, you know, her pigtails. She did everything like the photo.
Wow.
Even the posture, everything. It was unbelievable, but she came with that, you know. The only conversations we had were the questions that they want to know about the history of the family. We had table reads just with all the women, just so that they could get to know each other. But they're all I'm from Honduras, and I wanted the characters to be Honduran, but it didn't end up that way. But they're all Puerto Rican and Cuban, so they have like that flavor, and they all have their own culture, you know. And so as soon as we got together, they were like family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was beautiful for me, because I was like, oh, I don't have to do anything. They're just family.
And do you do a lot of rehearsal? Do you do, you know, was there things you kind of discovered on the way, like improvisation? How was that experience for you as a director?
We didn't do a lot of rehearsal. I do like for my actors to improvise. So, you know, we had the lines, but they also have different, colloquial like, slang in their culture. So I was just like, look, this is the script, but if you want to add something to it, if you feel like there's something in the moment. So they did in the kitchen and in the office scenes. But no, it was pretty much just blocking and then talking. I don't like wearing the actors out. I don't want them to do the same thing from rehearsal to the camera. I like the spontaneity. So it was just, our rehearsals were mostly just the blocking and talking about what was happening in the scene, so that they knew where they were coming from.
Now, I know that the snow was not Los Angeles, so you filmed up near Mammoth and June Lake. So
Yes.
how was that experience? Were any challenges filming in the snow?
Okay, so June Lake. Yes. Oh my God, almost died. I should give you guys like behind the scenes pictures of. I was carrying the sled in the snow. We had a tiny crew. It was like 8 of us maybe total, and so I was sledding our little actress because she was so short that she would sink in. The snow was like up to here, so she would sink in. So I had to put her on the sled and had to sled her, and I'm tiny too, you know. So tragic. It was snow. Wow. Oh my! That was an intense experience.
So
but we almost didn't have snow. So
okay.
I went up 2 or 3 times for location scout, and it was snow. Then we go up for the actual shoot. I think it was like 2 days before my birthday, like February 14th or 15th, and all the snow had melted. And so we were gonna set it in Alaska and Easter. We're like, okay, we have to change everything, you know?
No.
Yes. And then I look at the weather, and it's like, oh, there's gonna be a snowstorm tomorrow. And I was like, please, please. Our shoot was for 6 a.m. At 4 a.m. it started snowing, and everything that's in the film, the opening scene, is what snowed from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. It was like a blizzard. So we just got so
Wow, somebody was on your side.
Yes, God is on my side.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. And just the things you have to think about at the time, like, oh, and now I got to put it in Eastern Alaska, like the things. That's insane. How has the experience been for you? Obviously, taking it from the idea that you had to, we're so grateful to have your film at New Filmmakers LA, and not just the film, but also I just feel like anyone watching it can just either relate to, understand, be educated, whatever it may be about trauma and about how we pass that upon. But what was it like having that in partnership with the Academy, having it in a whole series of amazing, Latinx filmmakers from all over the world? How was that experience for you last night?
It was beautiful. I was really impressed by the quality of the films. I was like, oh my God, these are so good. I don't even know. And the VFX of the films were so good, so I was scared about ours. I was like,
yours is great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, but it was a beautiful experience, and I think something that touched me the most, this older gentleman, he was white and about maybe 60, came up to me and he was like, I really resonated. He told me he's in a group of women and him that, and he's working through his passed down trauma, has to do with sexual abuse as well. And he was, it was like, yeah, I think it was sexual abuse. And he was, and I'm glad that it reaches a wider audience. I'm glad that it's not just a Latino film or a Latin family, that this happens in any family, and so that was the most beautiful experience. And of course the theater and the sound, because I worked really hard on my sound, and like you said, the score
is
and the
so good.
speakers were so good. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for the Academy. I'm so grateful for New Filmmakers LA. You guys are like a family. I'm so grateful to be a part of the
We will
family.
never let you. We will never let. I mean, honestly, we're so grateful to have you part of our family. And listen, I think it's so great. Your film does reach a wider audience, but it is lovely to hear it from your voice, and see your family up there on the big screen and resemble that. So I think it's so nice that it came from you.
Yeah.
What is next for you?
I am working really hard to break into television.
Yep.
I want to get my first TV episode out of the way. So tomorrow I start shadowing Debbie Allen on Grey's Anatomy. I'm really excited about that.
That's amazing.
Like applying to all the programs. I was just a finalist for the Warner Brothers and the NBC TV Directing Fellowship. So I'm just going to keep applying. And then my feature, A Place in the Field, got distribution with Lionsgate, and it's going to have a theatrical release next year. And it's actually playing in this festival next month.
Oh, is it
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. So you'll have to come watch it.
Of course. Are we back doing this next month? That's so ridiculous. I love it. I'm so happy to hear that. Listen, I mean, all the goodness that's coming your way, it's well deserved. It's hard work. I know that you've got to get to this point. People see the roses, but they're like, don't realize how hard you've worked behind the scenes. And I'm just curious listen, you're going into shadow one of the biggest TV series tomorrow, one of the great TV directors. You've distributed your film with Lionsgate. You've made this fantastic film at the Academy. What advice can you give out to filmmakers out there that want to follow in your footsteps, that just want to, anything you aspire to be as a creative person that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, don't wait. Just go out and do it. I set out to make the feature. It was everyone's first feature. I didn't know what I was doing, and we learned along the way, and we failed along the way. Maybe don't be afraid to fail, because the failure is the journey. It's more about the journey versus, and I have to tell myself this all the time, even last night. I was like, okay, it's about the journey. It's about where you're at in that moment. It doesn't have to be a perfect film. It just has to be a representation of your authenticity and like your true self and whatever you want to say in that moment, And everyone told us it wasn't possible to make a feature. We shot in the pandemic. We shot with one camera, one light, and it got distribution. And we never imagined, that wasn't the goal. The goal was never to get distribution and to go out to festivals. The goal was for us to learn how to make a feature.
Yeah.
And so I think just do it,
Yeah.
Like Nike.
Well, listen, Nicole, thank you very, very much. We'll be same time, same place next month. But no, thanks so much for being part of the New Filmmakers LA family, and best wishes for tomorrow on set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.